Welcome back to Afternoon Express, where we are now bringing you part 3 of our coronavirus exclusive. We've learned some really interesting facts about the coronavirus today, and we've chatted about hygiene best practice to help keep you and your family safe. But when it comes to traveling abroad, things get a little tricky. And what about the pets that we have or the food that we eat that's been imported from other countries? We are now joined by Dr. Amaan Panday. If you would like to add anything to the conversation again, please make sure that you head to our social media platforms and, of course, always use the hashtag Afternoon Express when you want to send us a question. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you.
So, I mean, what we know at the moment from the coronavirus is that the greatest or the fastest way of it being spread is obviously through international travel. So airports must be radical hotspots for any kind of disease and viruses. Is that the main way to contract it now?
So essentially you have to have contact with the confirmed case of the virus itself. So the COVID-19, as we know, there's multiple areas in the world that has high population groups infected with the disease. So China specifically, we know about South Korea, we know about Italy. So these areas, if you are traveling to those areas specifically, you are going to be high risk for contracting COVID-19. Despite the quarantine measures, you're still going to be exposed because there's a number of patients that haven't been diagnosed as yet.
Yeah. So I've already cancelled a trip. But I mean, where are we sitting with travel? Should we be cancelling our trips? Are we going to be safe on aeroplanes and running through airports? Is travel really high risk at the moment? Or can we still book that flight?
So the general hygiene measures still apply. Like my colleagues before me have mentioned, hand washing is so important. Using soap and water or alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Of course, not being in contact with patients or people that have symptoms, respiratory symptoms, as we've mentioned, or a fever. And then for the elderly patients, the patients with any other chronic diseases, it's very important for them, ideally, not to travel. Because they are the high-risk group.
What about kids? Do kids fit high-risk groups?
So fortunately, at this stage, pregnancy, kids specifically, we advocate for general hygiene. However, the older patients have been the population most affected and the highest death rate amongst those patients specifically.
Now, what are airports across the world looking like at the moment? Are they still doing those heat temperature sensors as you walk in everywhere? Or how are airports kind of safeguarding the fact that they don't want the virus, obviously, to spread through them?
So that is a bit tricky because current evidence doesn't actually show that checking people coming in, whether they're asymptomatic or not. So when patients are asymptomatic, they don't have symptoms of the disease. So when checking these patients, it doesn't actually prevent the spread of COVID-19 or the virus itself. So what is actually more important is to inform those arriving passengers of the symptoms and what to do if they do develop the symptoms.
Then other than the bats that I'm not going to be eating anymore and the frogs that I'm going to try and stop kissing, what about our animals? How safe are animals? Like, what happens if I've got coronavirus and I cough on a dog? Is my dog going to then get corona too?
So there's multiple species of coronavirus. The COVID-19 specifically hasn't really shown to be going between different animals, nor between animals and humans themselves. So our companion animals, specifically our cats and dogs, cannot infect us, and they also will not be affected. However, they can be affected by the other types of coronavirus, but there's no cross-species contamination at this stage.
Now, I know, Shame, like China is going through the worst at the moment, and I know it's really affecting their economy and business. So what happens if we are importing things from China, food products, textiles, any kind of online deliveries, when they come to South Africa and the postman delivers it, how safe are those packages?
So I think a very important question. And currently we've got a great regulatory system in terms of food and health specifically. So all these products get screened at the border prior to coming in. So there's no evidence currently that any of these products that are imported has actually been or is contaminated with the presence of COVID-19.
And food products, fine?
Food, absolutely
So we're not getting sick from eating any kind of particular...
Fortunately not. So we briefly mentioned, or one of my colleagues mentioned earlier, about the virus actually being on surfaces, for example. The contamination of food products, there's no evidence that the disease actually gets transmitted via food.
Okay.
So fortunately, we're safe still.
So it's actually just like droplets from your mouth. So no kissing. That's it. That's why it's actually quite bad in Italy, because Italians can't keep their hands off each other. It's true.
So true.
Oh well. Let's see what you at home have got to ask.
Absolutely. We've asked you if you have anything to add to this conversation, and we have Sindiso who asked, would using waterless sanitizer when on the go do the trick of keeping the virus off your hands?
Definitely. So essentially, alcohol-based hand sanitizer,
Yeah.
you'd like to clean your hands thoroughly and regularly. That's the most important.
Yeah.
So the virus is very sensitive to any alcohol-based solution.
I read that alcohol is actually killing coronavirus.
So I wouldn't advise it to spray it in your mouth, but yeah, decontaminating surfaces and your hands, very important, yes.
Okay. Amazing. Good to know. I'm basically pickled, so I'm good.
I know a lot of our viewers are like, oh, no, I thought I had it. We've got Ryan Brandsley-Cardi here who asks, good day, Afternoon Express. We've been told to wash our hands regularly and sanitize surfaces. We've been told about being in the sun a lot because the virus is not resilient to heat. What about our hair? When we wash our bodies, we wash them daily. But our hair, can the virus rather be transferred through the hair, and not necessarily the coronavirus, but any virus in general? Also, can our animals be affected, which you've answered? There are patients being recorded that have been tested daily, but what about our animals? So you've already touched on the animals, but what about our hair? Does our hair carry any viruses?
So, I mean, there's a multitude of viruses and bacteria within your body, on the surface of your body, in the surrounding area. So these viruses are kept in check.
Okay.
These bacteria are also kept in check by your natural immune system.
Okay.
So yes, there does exist viruses and bacteria on the body, in the body as well, but these are kept in check.
Okay.
And it's only once you have this novel virus that has this propensity or the pathogenicity to infect you, to cause you to become ill, that it's a problem.
So even if her wig was bought from China, she's going to be fine?
She'll be fine.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor.
No
Thank you very
problem.
much for coming through. We're going to see you on the couch a little bit later for more chats.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Noted, Jeannie, noted. Now, after the break, we're back with all of our medical experts to answer your questions. Just head over to our social media platforms and make sure to use the hashtag Afternoon Express. See you after these.